The lesson here is self-reliance, and how hard that can be and how confusing learning self-reliance can become. In the end, we must learn to be with ourselves and find everything we need within ourselves. There's a natural way we work through life when we are in harmony on the deepest level possible within our own heart. We don't need to fight with the world. We don't need to solve anyone else's problems. We don't need to act differently to be accepted differently. We don't need to be anything other than we are, and we don't need to do anything other than we're doing. This is the essence of spirituality. Not that we are doing something overtly to assure ourselves of our spirituality, to feel good about ourselves that we are making progress on our spiritual path. But in the end, the more refined we get, the more the dominoes keep falling, the more we keep getting disappointed. People will disappoint us. It's not their intention, but it happens. Our teachers will disappoint us. Our life will disappoint us. We will wonder what we're doing wrong. But we aren't doing anything wrong. We're all just here learning about humanity and what it means to be human, to be all accepting, and to learn to embody this grace that surpasses all condition. To keep going deeper into the essence and not just looking at the surface. We will be disappointed by others, and we will try to, with our thoughts, find a reason or a resolution. But in the end, only in the silence can the truth be known. We cannot find what we're looking for in somebody else's words or in our own thoughts. We can't find what we're looking for in a book or in a person, in a place, or in an accomplishment. And I know that you all know that. But when it really comes down to the wire and we really start to feel the truth of that, we might feel a little bit confined or in the corner, because all the ways we wanted to reach out, to feel alive and to do something and accomplish something and let the energy flow and create and inspire, and all these great aspirations we have seem to be stopped. And we seem to be in a corner, working with very little, trying to make the most of what is, because we're basically closing in on ourselves. By the grace of God, we get into a tighter and tighter place, just like a great martial artist. Who are we fighting? What are we fighting? What are we going at to get something? Because this going at to get something out of life or from the world is a frustrating thing. And for some people it works for a little while, for some people it works for a long time, and we feel like we are a successful person, we are a popular person. But for some of us, no matter what we do, no matter how good we are at what we do, we keep getting thrown back down to the bottom of the ladder, to the bottom of the hole, up against the wall. That's what it feels like. And then we try to find reasons why this happened, as if it has something to do with us. What did they do differently than I did to end up in this place or to feel like this? But when we are working on spiritual growth and awakening, the awakening would not depend on anything but what we are right now inside. And when we have things going our way, we often aren't forced to go inside. We often think all of our strategies and techniques are working, and we keep reinforcing patterns that are no longer serving us, though the world may show us that they are. The truth is they aren't. Because to grow, we have to feel the discomfort. And we have to feel the discomfort because we're expanding. Just like when you build muscle, you're building your strength, you're increasing your awareness. And we're going to have to feel certain things, and we're going to have to see certain things about life, about others, about ourselves, and deal with it without judging ourselves or others, without condemning, without thinking we know why it happened or what we're going to do about it, just being with what is. Because the truth is, we're not okay with what is, because it makes us feel a certain sort of way. And because we don't like to feel that way, we want to keep doing these things to affect the situation, to manipulate the situation, to change it. And that makes sense. It's a natural thing to do. But when life keeps showing us, this time it's not going to work, how much deeper can you go to find the real solution, to really get to the root of the issue? So when we're dealing with the spiritual energy in our body, and when we're dealing with how our body and our being affects the world outside of us, and vice versa, we can then realize in the end that I can pull it all back to me. I am the master of my fate. I am the master of my destiny. When I align with that me that is not moved, I can watch the me that gets upset or frustrated or all these things. I can watch. I can watch my thoughts. I can watch my body do what it does. I can be who I am in this world. But deep inside, if I'm in tune with something that I truly know is the real me, I can play my part. And no matter what other people think, I can do it effectively and without desperation, without panic, and without fear, and without needing to always hold on to that role. Because we get given roles and then we have roles taken from us. And we want to get the old role back if it was a better role, or we want to get a higher role in this world. But the roles come and they go and they change. Can we play our role well? Can we do what we need to do and say what we need to say and act how we need to act with grace and fluidity in this world, and let go of the repercussions? Because the self-doubt and the self-questioning, the trying to make it right, whatever right means, all causes a further entanglement of surface things that aren't the real problem. The real problem is possibly karma we don't even remember. The real problem is putting ourselves in places we don't belong. The real problem is letting our mind take control. The real problem is losing objectivity, not tuning into the grace of the presence that is always there and aware, but it is not reacting. But to react and to go outward, to make someone do something, to make someone tell us something, to make someone resolve something for us, is a losing battle, and it's us buying in to the illusion. Nothing is as it seems, and the only thing we have to do, that we're required to do, is go within, and keep going within, and keep letting go the past and the future. Keep us bound in illusion. And while we all have a past and a future, or we all imagine a future and we remember a past, those things seep us of our true power. Our true power is only right now in this moment. And everything in this moment will always be okay no matter what's happening. Because moment by moment by moment, we stay on the edge of the moment, and we will always be okay. And we don't worry about, can I make it to the next moment? And we don't think about what happened in the last moment. We just keep on that edge. And the best way to do that is to practice being with ourselves in that presence, to stay tuned in to the presence. Because we all want to get something and do something and be someone and get a result and accomplish something and feel like our efforts are paying off. But then sometimes that doesn't happen, at least on the outside. The spiritual growth takes place within. And what is spiritual growth? Moving closer to who you truly are, being less ruffled by outer things, being less reactive to what goes on, less reactive to our own patterns, being objectively honest with our ability to see ourselves clearly. An objective viewpoint is very helpful. So when we study astrology and understand the planets and the houses our planets are in, we can gain an understanding of what may have brought us to this point in time, what we may be trying to accomplish karmically, and what we may be trying to grow beyond karmically. Because as long as we're identified with this person and we have this past and this path we've been on, we're going to have tendencies. And if we don't know about our astrological chart, we don't understand about our tendencies as objectively and as clearly as we can if we're looking at it, and where this road is headed for our best growth, for our most progress. Where can we move forward? What can we do next? Who have I been before? And when we find those things out, we're able to understand ourselves in a much broader sense than just this one person, because this chart is showing the lives of many, many, many people that we have been, and how it all came to this one moment. And what we're dealing with in this one moment is not just some random little thing. It's a big picture. This has been going on for a long time. We are resolving something, we are healing something, or we are reinforcing something we don't want to reinforce. So this is why astrology is helpful. However, it depends on who you're talking to, their level of awareness, and it depends on your level of awareness, because everyone has a chart, and two people could have the identical chart, but depending upon how much spiritual work they've done on themselves, how much light they have within moving through that chart, will really show. And so it's not just the understanding of the planets, it's also who's in tune with you as they look at those planets. And where are you in the process? Because all the planets have different ways of expressing themselves. There's a high frequency, and then there's a lower frequency, and then there's somewhere in between. So without saying too much about astrology, this is the very first thing I learned about long ago when I began opening myself up to something other than the material world. It helped me to see how my life actually made sense, and why I wasn't fitting into my family, why that life wasn't working for me. And that wasn't because something was wrong with me. It was because I was perfectly where I needed to be, and I just needed to understand myself a little more deeply. And so it opened my eyes, and it helps me know where I'm at, what I'm working through right now, what path is the best path to take right now, what might be coming my way that I should look out for. And it's just a helpful tool when not looked at in a superstitious way or a new age, kind of like a trinket sort of way where it's a nifty thing to look at, but you don't go deeper. Going deeper and getting a relationship with what those planets are, like how you get a relationship with the tarot cards or with any sort of divination or way to look into the subconscious. Astrology isn't divination, but astrology is still attunement. The learning of astrology, the understanding of astrology is about attunement with the planets and the deities and how they are alive inside of you and what that means for you. Because this relationship is about your relationship with yourself. And so we have parts of ourselves that are a little bit frictional with each other, because these are the planets. This is the karma. We have this karma, and it's not really meshing, so we have these fragments of ourselves. But when we understand that it's all perfect, we just need to learn with our consciousness, with the consciousness of our highest being, how to collectively and harmoniously bring these energies into a flow where they can all see eye to eye and compromise and give everyone what they need inside of ourselves. Instead of one part of us beating the other parts of us down, which eventually they're going to surface, then the war is going to start all over again. The war is within. This is about the karma and who we've been and what we're dealing with, and where our family's been and what they're dealing with, and who we've met along the way and what seeds they've planted in us, what things we've learned, what skills we've developed, and what's been planted in us, because those seeds will sprout. And then what sprouts is dependent also on what we're watering and how much it grows. If we have a karma to be very angry all the time and we keep watering that seed of anger, it doesn't help anyone. It's destructive behavior. But if we've been blessed by a divine being, several lifetimes back when we lived in the Himalayan mountains and we were wanting to be a Buddha, that seed's still there. And so when we do the things that water that seed, it can help with the anger seed, if you understand what I'm saying. And so understanding ourselves and which parts to hone in on and which parts to be aware of and accept is very helpful. So we need to be receptive to who we are and accept who we are. And then we need to look more deeply and investigate things about ourselves, which can be helpful, like I said, with astrology or self-inquiry, just deep meditation. And then we learn to view ourselves objectively and not be attached, but to love ourselves and accept ourselves, because when we get attached, we get emotionally wrapped up in the things we do, the mistakes we make, what other people do, and then we're so deep in it, we can't be effective. So it's like, be with yourself, but realize this person is just one person of many persons that you've been. What you are is the light of consciousness that is now working through this person, resolving the karma based on many people, and it all is now pooled up into this person. But what's driving this person, this Kundalini divine mother energy that is driving all of us, is the light of consciousness. And in that way, we are all the same. We are all the same being. And we think we're separate because we have different faces, different ages, different names, but we're all the same being. And the more in tune you get with that, the more in tune you are with other people. And the more you understand other people, and the more compassion you have, because you understand it's not personal. It is not personal. And even the things you do to yourself, don't take it personally. Don't get down on yourself. Accept it. Look at where you were triggered, why you did what you did, because you were triggered. Go back and look what might have triggered this reaction, and start to heal the problem rather than get down on yourself or try to solve it somewhere outside of you. See what the problem is and gain some objectivity and some understanding of the truth of how powerful we really are when we identify with the truth of who we are rather than just the surface appearances of who we are and what's going on. We have to be this person, we have to engage our life, but when in the background we know who we are. We know where we come from. We don't live in as much fear and anxiety. The fear and anxiety come from the personality that is going to die, that's going to drop off. The desperate personality that hasn't quite gotten what it needs yet from this life. The desperate personality that can't stop the body from aging, that can't control other people, that can't control the fear, that can't control the personality. We are who we are. We're not disassociated from ourselves. This is my personality, relatively speaking, this is who I am. But deep inside is where we have to keep going so that we don't get so caught up in our own drama and the drama of others. The Kundalini energy magnifies everything. It forces us into things because it wants to awaken. Number one, awaken. Number two, you feel bad about awakening? Too bad, awaken. And this will happen if, against all odds, against all parts of your red alert brain telling you, don't go there, this is dangerous territory, you keep going. Because of your love or your calling you feel in your heart, you still keep going. The awaken will happen when you realize that you have nothing to fear and to ignore those voices that tell you it's dangerous, unknown territory, and keep moving toward the light and realize that going back is only going deeper into the grand illusion. Eventually we will all must awaken from this. And so rather than to keep on spinning our wheels, identifying with the wrong things, completely losing touch with the source, and just going off on all the distractions, let us realize that we can be happy with who we are right now. We can accept where we are right now. We can do what must be done moment by moment. And we can love ourselves with all of our heart and accept ourselves with all of our heart at all times, no matter what, which allows us to do the same with others. To make the wise choices for ourselves, not to defend ourselves or justify or try to be understood, because people will pull you in. And there you are, caught in their game, caught in their program, because you thought you were helping. So we gain some wisdom, we gain some clarity, we gain some equanimity, and little by little that increases. And that is how we become, or get close to becoming, the embodiment of truth in a world that is filled with lies that would pull you out away from the truth of the moment, the light, and the silence. The truth is in the silence. The more we calm our mind, the more the truth rises. If you want the answer, just let your mind become more and more still. Still your mind with the breath. The breath is a gross reflection of the mind. And so when we calm our breath, we calm our mind. And when our mind becomes still, we are in truth. So do the practices that still your mind so that you aren't identifying with who you aren't, so that you're able to see clearly and maneuver through this life while you have this awakening of divine truth, not because you are becoming something more, but because you are moving the clouds out of the way. We already are. We already are there. We are already fully liberated beings. We need to stop identifying with the clouds and get back to the light. And that's what I mean about the persona, or the source, the real truth of who we are. The persona is like a cloud. It's going to be there. People are going to see it. It's our face, it's our body, it's our personality. But where are we coming from is the question. And only you can answer that question.